Well, hi everybody. Welcome to Bill Whittle Live on Monday, the 20th of February, 2017. Today we've got some stories of gloom and despair as usual. We're going to talk first about the Streisand effect, which is blowing up in the faces of progressives, so at least there's that. That's some kind of comfort. And then after the break, we're going to take a look at some of the comments made by Judd Apatow. He said he was raped by Donald Trump. And, I think this thing's really going to have to stop. There's just too much of this rhetoric, which basically makes the actual victims of rape and Nazis and all the rest just look absolutely sad. It's a terrible, terrible thing, and we're going to get onto those things right now. So push the button, Neil, and let's get started. So the reason we call it the Streisand effect is this. Before Barbara Streisand said anything, I think the number of people that had viewed that particular image of her was 3 people. I think 3 people had happened to just stumble across that image of the aerial view of Barbara Streisand's house. But once she started to make a stink out of it, it's seen by hundreds of thousands of people. Hundreds of thousands of people now, they want to go and see what all the fuss is about. So the Streisand effect is where you basically are trying to discredit something, and in the process of discrediting something, you bring it much more attention and make it much, much bigger than it was before you decided to interfere with it. So again, we got a couple of those examples of, like I said, the first thing was the Trump wines. That's pretty amazing. You have these things are selling out because they've got the name Trump on it, and the reason they're selling out is because people are boycotting it. Boycott Trump, and the second they say boycott Trump, whatever the product may be, and that product maybe was just completely unknown, the second that they start to make this kind of noise, sales go through the ceiling. And imagine my surprise. What do we have next, Neil? It's Ivanka. Yeah. So here's Ivanka Trump. She's by all accounts a very, very smart, very talented, elegant young lady. And Ivanka has clothing lines, and more stores are dropping them to show. They're going to show you out there in flyover country, you cynical conservative swine, that we're not going to sell her clothes anymore on account of her dad is Hitler. And we'll talk about that in the second segment. And her sales have gone through the ceiling. And here's that woman, Joy. Where is she? There she is. I've forgotten her last name, but she was at the Grammys. She wore this dress, and it went absolutely nuclear. People just went out of their minds. And, there she is. Now, the question is, was that a wise decision or was it not a wise decision? I think I talked about this once on the Stratosphere Lounge last time. If that had been a regular working professional in Hollywood, somebody like I used to be, for example, an editor in Hollywood, and I had done something to draw that kind of attention to the fact that I was a Trump supporter, I can tell you with 100% certainty that would have cost me my job, and I would never work in that town again, as they like to say. Without question, that would have cost anybody that job. Actors never would have been hired again, and so on. But this woman did something really clever. First of all, she was her own product. She was her own product. By that I mean she could monetize herself. She's a singer, so she's not working for somebody else. She can make money on her own, and what she really wants to do is attract attention. So in terms of was it a wise career move, for 99% of the population, it'd be suicidal career move to mention you're one of the half of the country that voted for Donald Trump. But for her, it was really smart because all of a sudden she's known by half of the country, and half of the people in the country basically are buying her albums. They may not even like her albums, know her albums, they may not even listen to her albums, but the fact that the left has decided we're going to boycott this person on account of her wearing a Trump dress, it's pretty much catnip. It's like next thing you know, next thing you know, old Joy's a millionaire, and that's awesome because this is the effect that these people are having. It's a gigantic temper tantrum. It started on election night. Really didn't get started for another couple days after that because they were so much in shock about their inevitable victory. But it started really on election night. And I know many people are wondering when it's going to end. And the answer is never. It's never going to end. That's the answer. It is never going to end. And the reason it's never going to end is because these people do not understand how democracy works, and they do not understand or have any respect for the rule of law. And these progressives are simply emotional children who only hear their own opinions and only expect their own outcomes. And if they don't get it, they're going to stamp their feet. Modern left-wingers are like those children at Walmart that you sometimes see, or at Target, or wherever you go, and they go to the toy department. I want this. It's like, no, you can't have that. Rah! Down on the floor they go, kicking and screaming, doing the little dying cockroach thing, and then the parents are dragging them across the floor out to the parking lot. This is what happens when you're undisciplined children who can't face adult responsibilities, adult consequences. This is what you get. Is you get this ongoing, perpetual temper tantrum, and it's just very good news to report that because of the Streisand effect, every time they try to do something to knock a conservative product down, the sales go through the ceiling. By the way, if you know any progressives, you might want to. I'm going to wear a Trump "Make America Great Again" hat next time, because my fond hope will be that I don't know, just pick one, George Clooney or Meryl Streep will go, that awful Bill Whittle and he's a Trump supporter, and for God's sakes we need to boycott him, in which case I'll be able to retire in glory. So yeah, this is it. It's a gigantic temper tantrum, never ends, and it's never going to end. It really is, for these progressives, a collision between reality and their worldview, and it's a collision that has been coming, and they don't know what to do about it. They just don't know what to do about it. Meryl Streep, again, some other award she won, something. She got up there and she said, this president's tendency for retaliation will probably bring us to nuclear war and nuclear winter. If we survive it, we'll begin to realize just how precious our freedoms really are. Meryl, you know what? Let me just put it simply. Why don't you just get over yourself? Okay, Meryl, just get over yourself. You know, you're not the savior of civilization. You are you're basically you're an actress, and nobody cares. And I know you think that you're this gigantic resistance fighter, but you're not. You're just an actress, and nobody cares. Honestly, nobody cares. And by the way, if you didn't have any more of an education than you thought you did, you'd know that nuclear winter was essentially a scam that was generated by the people who were looking for unilateral nuclear disarmament. My God, this thing will not shut up. And what that really means is, I mean, Carl Sagan, who spent so much time writing about reason and rationality and how we have to look at evidence and so on, he basically admitted that it was that nuclear winter was cooked up as a way to increase pressure for nuclear freeze or nuclear disarmament, even if it was unilateral disarmament. So everything they know is wrong, but they believe in it, and they broadcast it as much as possible, and they try. See, this is the thing, right? I mean, I'm broadcasting what I believe right now, and you're watching it, and that's fine, and we can have our opinions and so on, but I'm not telling other people what to think, and I'm sure as hell not making them listen to my political message while I'm on stage accepting an award for an acting performance, or while I'm in a university teaching geology, or while I'm in the supermarket, or while I'm outside on a protest. I'm not trying to get anybody to change the way they think at all, and certainly not coercively. I think this thing just cannot be developed enough. If Donald Trump is not Hitler, if all of these things are not true, all of their beliefs, if they're not going to round up immigrants and put them into camps, if none of this happens, then their entire worldview is wrong, which is reinforced back on November 8th, by the way, that their entire worldview was wrong. It was just an election. It was a worldview. You were sure you were going to win. There's not a chance that you could lose. So when their worldview starts to get threatened, most people either re-examine their lives and look at the evidence in their lives and say, maybe I was wrong about this, but some people run for the hills with their fingers in their ears, and they just keep shouting, no, 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 and that's what they do. I don't really know where to go about this. I get the feeling we're going to be talking about this for the next 4 years, 8 years. Well, if we talk about it for the next 4 years, that means we'll talk about it for the next 8 years. But just a quick note to our progressive friends out there. Next time you decide you want to boycott something and you want to use all of those media mouthpieces that you have to shame people into not appearing at the inauguration, or to drop somebody's clothing line, or to to denigrate somebody's wine brand, Next time that urge hits you, please, 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 from the bottom of my heart, consider denigrating me and my show and my operation here. It would mean the world to me. It really would. For you to come out strongly and call me a Nazi and all the rest of it, and do what you always do, which is tell people that they shouldn't, pay for this program or watch it or anything like that. That would be absolutely the most wonderful thing you could do for me, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm expecting it because I need some consistency from you people. That's obviously something that we haven't seen too much of. Coming up next, we're going to talk about this idea of victim defamation, and it's the idea is that the rhetoric is escalated so much now that it's not just insulting to the people who they're directing against, which is conservatives. It's also insulting to the people that they're equating with conservatives. Nazis killed Jews, and if a guy who disagrees with you is a Nazi, what does that say about the actual Jews who were killed, or the other 6 million people on top of that who were gassed? What does that say? Judd Apatow said that he felt raped by Donald Trump. If somebody disagreeing with you is the equivalent of rape, Judd, then how do you think actual rape victims feel about this? And you're the ones who are always telling us that we have to be, very, very quiet about this and be very, very sensitive about feelings. So let's have it one way or another, okay? Either we talk about things in life and we don't cry about it and we don't complain to the PC police, or you have to be as sensitive to these kind of things as other people do, more so because more people on that side are listening to you. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to shut down our Facebook feed now. Before we do, though, as I say, this program is made possible by our paying members at BillWhittle.com, and they get to watch the whole thing on a secret link, which only they know, and have to use their secret decoder ring to get the exact actual code. But just before we go, I just say this. I know what a lot of you are feeling. I know what a lot of you have been feeling for a long, long time. We've been 8 years in the wilderness, and you felt like there may never be another chance for America again, and then there was, and now you're watching the Democratic reaction to Barack Obama. Small d Democratic. You're watching the mechanisms of this country correct itself, or at least try to correct itself from these horrible things, and you don't know what to do, and you've sent money to the RNC or to candidates or to the Heritage Foundation or whatever. The way we beat these people is to get in there with a better message than they do. So if you want to solve that problem, you can go to BillWhittle.com, become a member, watch the rest of every one of those shows. They're all archived for you. And so now it's time to say goodbye to all our company on Facebook, and we will see you. Oh, wait, hold on. We will not see you tomorrow. We are going to CPAC tomorrow, and so for the next several days, I'm not sure whether I can do the show live at the scheduled time, but I will be doing constant updates from CPAC. We're going to be doing a bunch of interviews from CPAC and all the rest, so we're looking forward to seeing you for all of that. So until tomorrow or Wednesday, depending on when we can get off the plane and start getting the camera set up, this is Bill Whittle Live. Thanks for joining us on Facebook, and members, stick around because we're getting into part 2 right now. Look at all these things. There we go. We good? Okay. Now, this liberal victim defamation is really getting out of hand. I cannot remember if it's Godwin's law or Moore's law, but there's basically a law that says the first people to accuse somebody of being a Nazi in an online argument is the loser. And I think I think there's a bunch going on here, and I've had about enough of it. Judd Apatow, as I said, the famous director, there he is. And he did a stand-up comedy routine where he said, I feel like I've been raped by Donald Trump. I think he might have said prior to the election that he was saying, I feel like I'm going to be raped if he wins, and now I think he said something to the effect of, I feel like I'm about to be murdered. Judd, first of all, elections have consequences. Secondly, your words have consequences. And it's not just offensive, it's actually dangerous. Let's talk about the offensive part first. Somebody gets elected who you don't like politically. Somebody gets elected who you disagree with. And they win the election fair and square. And by a significant margin, not by a historic margin, but by a significant margin. And you equate that with being raped. My personal feeling, Judd Apatow, is that if you had a choice between actually being raped in prison, let's say, or listening to Donald Trump or conservatives speak about Donald Trump, I'm going to guess that you would take B on this one. That's just an off the top of my head guess. This kind of rhetoric doesn't elevate you, and it doesn't elevate your suffering, and it doesn't elevate your anti-Trump positions. It doesn't elevate anything. All you really do is you degrade yourself, but mostly you degrade the actual victims. When you and the rest of you progressives call yourselves Nazis, call us Nazis rather, then, what does that mean? What does that mean? People who disagree with you are Nazis. What about the real Nazis? If you basically are saying that conservatives who vote differently than you, American citizens who haven't hurt a fly, on the contrary, American citizens who have been constantly assaulted, violently assaulted, disrupted by people on your side, Judd, not on the right, it's people on the left. It's your people that are out there cracking head. It's your people out there that are kicking people and knocking them unconscious. It's your people who are setting fires in the streets. It's your people that are rioting. It's your people that cannot accept the democratic consequences of the previous 8 years. It's your people, Judd. It's the progressives, not me, that are inflicting all this violence. But if you want to say that somebody who votes differently than you is a Nazi, or that it's equivalent to being raped, then you have a large apology to make. Not to me, I don't need it, not really, I don't care, and I don't think the rest of the country much cares about what you have to say or needs your apology either. But you do need to apologize to actual rape victims, and all the rest of you out there who are calling Trump Hitler, and all the rest of you progressives out there with your love Trump's hate slogans, and then you beat somebody to death with the love Trump's hate sign. You guys have some answering to do, not to me, but somewhere in the future. You're going to have to answer to the people that were murdered by the actual Nazis. You're going to have to explain it to them, I suspect. You're going to have to explain it to somebody, how you could so basely denigrate them by equating what they suffered to what you're suffering. It's pathetic. It's pathetic, it's disgraceful, and it's disgusting. You really, really ought to be ashamed of yourself, but of course that would require a conscience or some kind of a soul or something, and we don't hold too high hope for any of that. Hey, did we getting a lot of things about no sound there, Neil? It's good? We're good? Okay. This is kind of it. Now, if you want to live in a world where anyone can say what they want to, as offensive as not, then that's fine. I'd actually think I'd prefer that world. But that's not the world you want to live in. You want to live in a world where a conservative or a Republican says anything at all that you can jump on, then it's an outrage to women, an outrage. So let me just ask you this, Judd, and all the rest of you progressives out there. What if Rush Limbaugh had said that? What if Rush Limbaugh had said that Barack Obama raped him, that the Obama presidency was like rape to him? If Rush Limbaugh had said that, what do you think the reaction would have been? We all know what the reaction would have been. We all know what the reaction would have been. This inability of you people to not forget play fair. Play fair. In order to play fair, you have to have some sense of honor and dignity and some sense of integrity. So I'm not expecting you to play fair. But I'm just wondering if you are really so stupid that you cannot see what you're doing to the people who you are claiming as victims, who you're trying to make into huge Democratic Party voting blocks. I mean, Jews predominantly break for the Democrats, and you're trying to get young women and single women to vote for you, and then you come out and make a statement like that? You come out and make a statement like, absolutely no, losing the election was like being raped. Okay. This is the language of people who have no sense of history, no sense of balance, no emotional restraints. This is the kind of thing that children do. This is the kind of thing that children do. It's the mark of a 4-year-old, not a 40-year-old, Judd, to scream at your parents, "I hate you and I want you to die." That's what 4-year-olds do. 40-year-olds don't do that, at least not adult 40-year-olds. You should know better than that. When you say something like that, you're just having a temper tantrum. And there are consequences to this. There are consequences to all of it. This election is going to have turned, when it's over, we will realize it will have turned into the perfect storm. It will be the perfect storm for them. They want to push this whole narrative that the Russians are behind the whole thing and therefore we need a do-over. Michael Moore said yesterday or the day before, he got up in front of a microphone. He managed to drag his carcass up there and stand there and shout at the top of his lungs in his ruffled baseball cap and his 30-year-old army jacket and all the rest of these things that multi-millionaire decides to go and shop for in order to appear like a man of the people as he sits behind his gated communities. But I digress. Michael Moore basically said the Russians hacked the election. Not true. Not even close to true. There's no indication that the Russians had anything to do with it, and if they did have anything to do with it, they didn't hack the election. They basically said to the American people, here's what your Democratic Party is saying behind your back. So, but Michael Moore says, since the Russians hacked the election, that means that Trump has to be basically discarded. I don't know whether he called for his impeachment or not, but basically just said, well, we're going to have to throw him out on account of the Russians that didn't hack the election and that there's no evidence for. And since Pence was also elected by similar fraud, the only thing left to do is for the country to either vote again or for the court or the Congress to appoint Hillary Clinton as president. He actually said that, stood up and actually said that. The reason I brought that up is because with the Apatow thing and the Meryl Streep's tacking herself onto the cross again. I'm the most overrated person, but I'm also the most targeted actress. You come out and insult half the country, Meryl. What do you want? What do you want? You call half of the country idiots, Nazis, racists, homophobes, and what do you expect? It's you people. It's not us. It's you people. It's Judd Apatow's and the Meryl Streeps and Michael Moore's and all the rest. And here's what you do. You lie through your teeth. And the way you lie through your teeth is pretty much like this. Donald Trump says early in the campaign that there are a significant number of illegal Mexicans, and many of them are rapists, or some of them are rapists. I forget what the exact quote is. Donald Trump said that some of the illegals in this country are criminals and that some of those criminals are rapists, and you said within an hour that Donald Trump has accused all Mexicans of being rapists. Donald Trump says that we have a real problem with terrorism from people coming in from certain countries where this is this ongoing civil war, where we have open admission on the part of ISIS that they're trying to get as many people into the country as possible. He wants to put a 120-day ban on 7 countries, not based on religion, but based on origin. In these countries, it's the Christians who've been massacred by the Muslims, not the other way around. He wants to put a 120-day wait period on 7 countries, none of which are in the 10 most populous Muslim countries in the world. And you say Donald Trump wants to not only ban all immigrants, he wants to throw all immigrants out of the country. This is what you have to do, because if you're arguing the truth, you don't get any traction, right? If you actually said the truth, you wouldn't get your people all ginned up. If you listen to the truth, if you listen to something else than what you listen to all the time, you would know that there's a rather large difference between saying some of the illegal criminals in this country are rapists, which is absolutely true, versus all Mexicans are rapists, which we know is false and would have been an absolutely disgusting thing for Donald Trump to say if he had said it. But he didn't. So I've had this experience myself dealing with you people before, and that is that you can never seem to be able to criticize me on the things that I say. You only seem to be willing to criticize me or attack me on things that I didn't say, and usually the things that you claim I said are in fact the antithesis of what I actually said. This is for children. This is how children argue. This is it, Mom. You hit this kid, hit him. Finally, he hits you back. Mom, Davey hit me in the, please just stop it. Just stop it. Go home. I don't know where this is going to end. I don't know how far they're going to take this, but I do know that this kind of thing needs to be called on. It needs to be called out, and somebody has to tell these miserable, low-life, self-centered, narcissistic, swine, that it's just not true, and it really does need to stop. Anyway, let me tell you guys what we're going to be doing in the next week. Get the monitor going again. Here's the deal. It looks like, well, certainly we're going to CPAC tomorrow. So we will be traveling tomorrow. I don't think there's going to be a live show tomorrow. I'll put a post on Facebook about that. I think we're going to be in the air for that. Then on Wednesday, we will be doing live reports from CPAC, but they won't be scheduled and they won't be a half an hour. So anytime we get anything, we get an interview in or we see something interesting, something like that, we're going to just upload it right away. And so that'll be that. And then we're back on Saturday night. And there is something interesting that might be happening next week as well. But for the next 4 days or so, we're going to be giving you guys live updates from CPAC, in the wings, wandering around, talking to people. It's going to be a lot of fun, going to be very, very different. Steve Green's going to be there. Scott Ott, I don't think, is going to make it, but Steve's going to be there. And we will probably have a 2/3 reunion of the old Trifecta Right Angle crew, and any other number of fun things going on too. As we tape this, the news is probably an hour old now, or two. Milo Yiannopoulos has been scrubbed from CPAC. He was going to be their featured speaker, the keynote speaker. Some videotapes or some audio tapes came out about him making some comments that people are trying to spin into him being a pedophile. I'm not defending him on this one. There's morals. Milo's moral code and my moral code are quite some solid distance apart from each other. But basically, I think what he was saying was that he had been molested at an early age or something. And in any event, this is what happens when you have a guy like that who is, without question, a genius when it comes to publicity, and courageous, physically and morally courageous enough to go out there and say these things about feminism and about immigration, all the rest. So that's all to be admired. But ultimately, it all comes down to a question of character. At least it does for me. And I think we've got some character issues with Milo that have been brewing for a while, and it looked almost like a bomb that was about to go off. I don't know how badly it's going to hurt him. They're going to try and hurt him as badly as they can. He was on the Bill Maher show not too long ago, I think last week. And one of the scheduled guests, a regular on the Bill Maher show, got up on his hind legs and basically said, no, I will not. I cannot be seen appearing on the same program as a person who causes such hate and calls for the extermination of Muslims and all the rest of it. And again, I'm not rallying to Milo's defense here, but what he was saying is that there is in fact an epidemic of violence, and there is an epidemic of misogyny, and there's an epidemic of homophobia, and it's all coming from Islam. It's wherever you have Islam around the world in a majority, you have these problems. And he spoke the truth about it, and that, of course, can't be allowed, because if you start speaking the truth, then these people have literally nothing left to stand on. So it's going to be an interesting week. I am just crazy hassled with all this work here. We've got shot one right angle this morning, an NRA segment this morning. Doing this now, we got 4 more right angles to shoot. I got to get all those things prepped and uploaded. Articles for Daily Wire, and it just gets more and more busy around here. I'm not complaining. I've never been happier, to be perfectly honest with you. But it's busy, and it's going to be busy until we get into the beginning of March, I think. So I think that'll wrap it up for Bill Whittle Live for Monday, the 20th of February, 2017. As I say, we'll be coming to you from CPAC, and we will have some general things and some members-only segments definitely for you to once again thank you for your membership, and to thank you for your generosity and your vision. It means so much to us. And we're trying to get out there and do good work with it, and I feel like we are. So we will see you probably on Wednesday, I suppose, from CPAC. And until then, you guys be careful out there. It's interesting times. We live in interesting times. And our job here is to try and explain them to you and see if we can't move the needle back towards a little bit of civilization, a little bit of decency, a little bit of integrity and honor, and fighting fair and all the rest. So that fight will continue, and it's going to continue from Washington, D.C., so we will see you on Wednesday.